Hey, what is going on, you guys? Tony here, CCxRC, and I have something in this box that you guys have been asking for and been excited about, as well as myself. It was just hard to get my hands on one, so finally got my hands on one of these, purchased it directly from Kyosho, and yeah, I am excited to have this USA-1 monster truck finally on the bench. This thing looks massive, we'll say that. It is 4S capable. It is licensed. It looks just like the USA-1, which is pretty cool. The lights are flaring off of this thing. But it's built on like a very proven platform from Kyosho, like their Mad Crusher and that you've seen before. So it's actually nice because some of the parts are already available for this if you do have some issues. Hoping that we're not going to out of the box, but let's talk about it. They've actually gone and they've done some upgrades to this already. Looking at the front of the box here, just come around with you guys for a minute. Let us take a quick look at the box, because I know that you guys want to see some of what's in here, and it'll help me know exactly what is in here too. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to get all of the info off of it for myself yet. But as you can see here, 8-scale radio-controlled monster truck. Scale body. It's got their great Kyosho transmitter in there. Servo's got metal gears in it. New brushless ESC, 120 amp ESC, 2300 kV, 4068 motor there. You get a look at the layout with the batteries flanking both sides of the truck. New tires and wheels for it. And it runs the chain drive system, 5-link suspension, 4 internal gears in the differential, big bore shocks. Yeah, you see it. Now you get an idea of what's in there. Let's get back around and let's open this up and see the truck itself. That's what I want to see. I've not even opened it yet. Got to break the seals. Got to do a little bit of building, it looks like, with this thing. It is big. Everything is very well packaged. Sounds like there's some tools. Radio. Some big tools. Nice toolkit with it. Get everything all set out here on my CCxRC mat. Here's our light bar. And we have the manual right here in a bind plug and some stickers for our light buckets. Alrighty, you guys, here it is. It does look big, and it isn't even all the way ready yet. They do have some zip ties holding the suspension down in here, but we do have to cut in order to relieve it. Alrighty, you guys, here it is. It is large and in charge. The monster truck looks good. Nice thick fluid in the suspension. Feels very good. It'll take some big air. That's what it feels like. You can see the slow response. Big bore shocks in here. The tires look pretty good. There are foams in them. They're glued. But yeah, overall the body looks really nice. It's got the 3 Predator carbs sticking out of the top to scale out the look. Matted top on the bed here, like they've got a tonneau cover or something on it. So let's talk about it for a little bit. So this is 4S capable. It does have flexible mirrors on it, which is nice. So those won't break off. It does come with a light bar here, and it comes with stickers. So it's got clear in the front, so you can put lights in it. But it's got these USA-1 and these KC headlight looking, it's a Kyosho logo, sorry, just the K. But it looks like a KC headlight type of a bucket you could put on there. It's semi-flexible plastic, so that's good. And it looks like you would remove this. There's 2 screws on the top here that's holding this black plate in there. And it looks like you'd swap that out. Now, before I go and bash it, I don't think that I want to change this. I think I'm going to let it roll like this and use that almost like a skid plate on the top of the vehicle there. it's the highest point, so I don't want to be breaking those lights off first run. So I think I'll leave it as is for now while I run it. But you can see the front of it here. It's got molded bumper here in this molded kind of fairing on the front around the light buckets and all that. You can put lights in there. Those are plastic as well. And it doesn't come that way, but it is an option part that they do sell. The windows are clear. It does have a sticker on it that kind of frosts the windows a little bit. And it gives it that black outer line around it, which I'm okay with. You could put a driver in there still, be able to see him if you wanted. The back bumper is plastic as well. Rear tail lights are just stickers. They're not like buckets on the like the front. Let's take off 4 body posts on the top. You can see the clips. They do stick through, so it is something that you do see. But here, get a closer look at that front grille on there. It does look really, really nice, as well as how that has the screws here on the front of that roll bar here on the back light bar. Again, you can see flexible mirrors. They are kind of rubberized. But the bumper comes off with it on the rear. On the front, the bumper does stay on it. It is a plastic. All right, let's look at some things that we see here. It's kind of interesting that this carburetor is part of this bracket here. It's flexible too, so that's kind of nice. It won't break the body as you hit it and like chip away at the way that it's molded in here. So it's just a cutout in the top. So that's nice. On the sides, you do have the battery compartments. I don't love this kind of compartment, but it's not too bad because it does have options. There are different spots where you actually can put your post. So if you have a wider battery, you can run it out farther. So maybe if you have a 3S battery or something like that. It does run on 4S, but you can remove this adapter right here and run it on a single 3S if you wanted, I guess. Possibly a 2S. I'm not sure what the ESC requires as far as that goes. You can run, it looks like, dual motors in here. You can see the setup. There's actually another plate right here that allows for another motor to go in side by side with the current motor. But let me get around on the other side of the camera. I don't think I can show it super well the way that everything's boxed inside of this chassis without having the camera in my hand. So let's go handheld for a minute and let's look closer at some of the details of this thing. Alrighty guys, so in here you can really get a sense of how large these shocks are next to my finger. It does have an interesting way. They are on axle, but you can see the steep angle of it. It's a very steep angle. The motor here, which I said was 2300 kV, I believe. Metal gear on the pinion. Plastic spur gear here. Spin this around. You can also see now a little easier that motor plate where you could run a second motor on there if you wanted to. 120 amp ESC here. This is their Brains 8 is what they call it. And should be plenty of power. Like I said, here's the connector. You can go to 2 T-plugs or you could run a single. And then again, these, you can see the different holes here. I'm not sure you could get a single 4S. I guess it depends on the size, capacity of it. But you could get a 3S in there. Run one on each side, but not plug them both in at the same time. It is 4S only capable. In here, we've got our receiver box. You pop this open. Very easy. I like how easily accessible it is to get in here. They've got it all padded up, keeping everything nice and for moving around in there. It is a nice large box as well. All right, servo tucks in right here. That's the one thing that I have question marks about, is the servo on this. I've seen other people bashing these. Looks very capable, but the servo does kind of have a weird chase that it goes all the way back to here to a central part of the truck and then back to the front to operate the steering. And they're pretty thin. So this is the saver here as well. You can see it splits right there. It's got a little servo saver right here. Metal drive shafts, which is nice. So everything seems solid along that. You can see the chain drive right here, the chain that goes around. That's pretty wild. The axles look very stout. And again, inside there, they've got the multi-gears in there for the diffs themselves, on the internals of the diffs. 5 links, so you've got your standard 4-link here, uppers and lowers, both sides, plus a brace across from the top to the bottom to help stiffen it as well. I guess it kind of acts a little bit like a sway bar is my guess. So we'll see how that handles. But yeah, here's the chain coming in. Pinion to spur gear, operates the chain. Chain drives down here. So pretty much straight drive off of that. No transmission in there as far as like a diff for the center. Very direct drive. You can see the large wheel nuts in there, which is why you have that big tool. So more of a race style. That's a very large diameter. So you should have a lot of strength there with the axles inside of this truck. Wheelie bar on the back. Feels like there's a good bearing in there. Just plastic wheelie bar, but looks all right. So yeah, I mean, overall, I'm pretty impressed. So these are just plastic shocks, but they're threaded, so you can make adjustments to your preload that way. And everything's very easily accessible. And I do like that about the truck for sure. You could pretty much work on this and get in there and work on anything pretty easily, except maybe your axles. Like your front axle, there's quite a bit going on up here with these braces and stuff strapped on. So to get into your diff, it looks like it takes a little bit of work and removing to get in there. But hopefully that's not something we have to access very much. You can see there is, it looks like, adjustments for your shocks and where they mount there to the axles. Definitely 3 spots on the upper, and then you've even got more down at the bottom there. And so that's the same front and rear. And then these could be rear steer, but they're locked out right here, as you can see. This bar. You could remove that, and you could actually run from this. They try to make it an easy 4 steer, and you could run this way as well and do steering in the back from this one device. You could, right here, put another screw in, and you could operate both. However, I definitely prefer independent servos for running that, so that you have a little more control, personally, of when you want to have 4 steer working for you or not, just like the real trucks too. So I'm impressed. I like it. I can't wait to get it out there and run it. I got to find something with the T-plugs or an adapter for a T-plug that I can use to run it. But we're definitely not going to put the light buckets on just yet. We're going to give it a couple runs, see how it handles before we do that, because I don't want to be out there tearing it up. All right, let's look at the controller and the manual and some things, and we'll call it a video, man. I think we're good. All right, Kyosho, I'm liking what I'm seeing. One thing I think people are going to ask to do is they want to see it next to some other trucks, is my guess. So we'll do that at the end. Quickly, let's look at the radio here. Pretty standard Kyosho radio. They're actually very comfortable to use. They don't allow for simple one-handed driving like I like to do, because they've made the grip actually in a very comfortable spot. It's kind of around the front, and it just feels natural to hold it. So I like that. But for filming reasons, it does make it hard for me for my YouTube stuff. But if I were just a person out there running and not worried about that, that's easy. Or you just get a little clamp here and clamp your phone or your GoPro to your controller and have two hands free. But it does have steering dual rates here, steering trims, throttle trim, forward. So this is your throttle endpoints right here. And then you've got down here your reverse. Yeah, so how fast it goes in reverse. You can set that. It looks good. Everything you need, steering reverses, throttle reverses, power switches on the back here. Got a extra switch here, third channel. Probably for like your lights if you want to turn them on off, things like that. But yeah, pretty standard. Very good for a ready to run radio, I'll say that. Tools. It does come with big wrenches in here because it does have this tire you have to get in. And let's just show you that too while we're here. We'll take one of them off. We got the tool. They gave it to us. We'll show you what it looks like. So very much like in the Revo or other big Armas, things like that. So it's like an 8-scale buggy style wheel nut, an axle stub coming out of here. So yeah, and these are actually metal steering knuckles. So that's pretty cool. You know what's going to happen though, right? This one wheel, the wheel nut's going to come off of because I took it off. Just check them all before we go out. Got rainy weather today, so we're not going to be able to do a test run yet. It is kind of weird that they've got it perforated here on the top where you'd cut it out for the nitro. Kind of wish that they'd just made a separate body for it, but I get it. Production costs would go up that way. All right, we're gonna do this even though it's really hard to tell scale and things like that on a bench like this. So I'm gonna show it next to an SMT-10 and very dusty. But overall, the length of these are the same. I have not done any extensions to this. The wheel heights are the same as these J Concepts, which these are their Goldyear tires. So they're a pretty tall tire, but very similar as far as the tire size there. And then I guess the other thing we'd want to check is maybe the width. And that's where the big difference is. You can see the width here. You have a whole almost 2 inches, 1.5 inches on each side of that wheel that it's wider. So let me actually get a tape measure and we'll measure the distance. So basically edge of tire to edge of tire, you're looking at 17 3/4 inches. On this one, on this guy here, you're looking at 15 inches. So 2 inches total. I was off on my original estimation using my finger, but it's considerable amount of width difference, which is going to make it a very stable truck to drive, I think. So we'll see. Steering wise, looks like you've got decent amounts of throw. And I know everybody's going to say, well, what about an LMT? An LMT is very similar to an upgraded SMT-10 when you look at the wheels. Now, when you look at the body and how that looks overall, it's bigger. It's more like this as far as body. 8-scale body sizing compared to like this smaller chassis or smaller body. As far as cage, I don't have one up here though. Let me go get one. All right, so go ahead and we're going to take the SMT-10 down. I went down and grabbed my LMT bone stock to sit next to it for you. So you can see the body styles. They feel about the same to me. I feel like you could almost drop a USA-1 body onto an LMT pretty easily. The length, again, it's a little bit longer, just a little bit. But really, the width is where you're really gonna see the difference. Lots of width difference. It's just sticking out just the littlest bit. Maybe a half an inch, quarter of an inch to a half an inch. But overall, if you were to put them side by side, they look all right together. It's actually questionable based on the rules. A lot of groups you might not be able to run this in because of the width of the truck being over 17 inches. So that can be problematic. I think that there's quite a few that limit the trucks to 16 inches. And so that could negate this thing being in. So that's something to think about when you're buying if you plan to race. But yeah, overall, it looks like a pretty decent truck. And the big shocks, I tell you what, big shocks in there. Alrighty guys, that is it. That is kind of what I can think about wanting to address about this. It definitely has that basher look to it. That wheelie bar will help save some, although the body is catching on the wheelie bar a little bit there, not too bad. Overall, it's a really cool looking truck. And yeah, they left all the stickers on here. One nation under God, let's keep it that way. Pray for our troops. America needs the Spirit of Christ on here. All the different stickers and decals and stuff that they had on here. Pray for our troops, they protect our country. Definitely has that USA vibe to it. So, all right guys, I hope that helps you if you're wanting to look at this truck. We will have a bash video coming with it. We're not going to go super huge air basher that. We're going to bash it like we do our other monster trucks on this channel. I've got a whole set of jumps and things that I use for that, and so that's what this is going to use as well. We'll be back flipping it. We'll see what we can do with it. Can we do moonwalks? What can we do? What can't we do? We're going to try and figure it out. So stick around for that, guys. That'll be coming in a little bit, hopefully, before winter settles in all the way here in Michigan. But it's been raining for the past 2 weeks pretty good, or the dew doesn't disappear, and it's just been very limiting on what I can do out there. So very soon, we'll have this out here. It looks like we have a couple days coming up where we'll get a break. So I'll get some batteries charged up and have it ready, and we'll catch you guys next time. See ya.